The forest was trembling. Ifunanya could feel it beneath her feet, the heartbeat of something vast and ancient, pulsing beneath the roots. Above, the sky had turned a strange color. Not night, not dawn, but a bruised gray that made even the birds forget their songs. And from the edge of the forest came the clash of steel. King Obioma's warriors had entered Ikuru. But in the clearing, Ifunanya stood before the guardian, Olama, who watched her with eyes as deep as tombs. "The serpent awakens," Olama said. "Your brother's fire has broken the stillness. He seeks to save his kingdom, but his fear will end it." Ifunanya's voice was soft. "He does not understand what calls from this forest." "No," said Olama, "but you do. You hear its voice because it was born with you. You are not only your father's daughter, you are the vessel of the old vow he broke." The words burned like iron. "What vow?" The guardian raised her hand, and the mists around them parted, showing a memory woven into the trees themselves. There was King Adanma, young and proud, kneeling before a shrine of stone and roots. Before him coiled the serpent of the first dawn. Its scales shimmered like molten gold. Its eyes were galaxies burning. "He came seeking power," Olama said. "He wanted his kingdom's light to never fade. He offered his blood, but the serpent demanded more, a life yet unborn." Ifunanya whispered, "My mother, she was with child." "Yes," said Olama, "one child of sun, one of shadow, twins bound by blood and curse. The serpent claimed its half that night, but your mother's tears softened the vow. So the curse was delayed, waiting for the day the forest would call you home." The forest shuddered. Far away, horns blared again. The war had begun at its edge. Ifunanya fell to her knees, trembling. "If my mother gave herself to this forest, then I will find her, even if it costs my life." Olama nodded slowly. "Then come, but leave behind your fire, your crown, and your fear. For below, no sunburns." The guardian touched her forehead, and the world inverted. The ground opened like a mouth, and Ifunanya fell, through soil and stone, through darkness that pulsed like a living thing. When she landed, she was standing in a vast cavern beneath the roots, glowing faintly with veins of blue light. The roots hung like the arms of giants, twisting into endless tunnels. And there, bound within them, were faces, countless faces, whispering prayers and curses. The souls of those who had broken oaths. A faint voice reached her. "Ifunanya." Her heart leapt. She turned, and there, half entwined in roots, her skin pale as ash, her eyes bright with tears, was Queen Nanena. "Mother." Ifunanya ran to her, trying to pull the roots away, but they pulsed like veins, tightening. "You should not have come," the queen said weakly. "The serpent watches all who bear its mark. I came to bring you home." "Home?" The queen smiled sadly. "There is no home for us now, only debt to be paid." The ground trembled. From the far end of the cavern came a sound, like a breath drawn by the earth itself. The roots began to move. The whispers turned to wails. And from the abyss rose the serpent of the first dawn. Its body filled the cavern. Its scales burned with the light of suns long dead. Its eyes were as wide as lakes, staring into Ifunanya's soul. "Daughter of blood," it thundered, though its mouth did not move. "You have come to finish what your father began." Ifunanya stood trembling. "You cursed my family." "No," the serpent said. "Your father cursed himself. He took light and broke his word. You were born to restore balance, one half to return what was stolen, one half to keep the world from falling into shadow." Ifunanya shook her head. "I will not be your vessel." The serpent's laughter was like an earthquake. "You already are. When you were born, the sun bowed, and the shadows waited. You carry my essence and his. When you die, the circle will close, and a new dawn will rise." Her mother cried out, "Don't listen. It seeks to bind you as it bound me." Ifunanya looked at her, then at the serpent, and realized the truth. The creature did not want her death. It wanted her choice. Above ground, King Obioma's warriors were burning the forest. Flames roared through the trees, and smoke curled toward the sky. "Drive them back," Obioma shouted. "We will end this curse tonight." But as the fire spread, the ground began to crack. The air grew thick with ash, and from the heart of Ikuru came a roar so powerful that birds fell dead from the sky. The serpent had awakened. Below, the cavern split open with fire. The serpent's eyes blazed. "Choose, child of light and shadow. Save your mother and doom the world, or save the world and end your line." Ifunanya's tears burned her face. "There must be another way," her mother whispered weakly. "Daughter, do what I could not. End it." Ifunanya closed her eyes. She felt the warmth of the sun and the cool breath of the serpent inside her. Two powers pulsing in war. Then she raised her hands. The clay bowl from the shrine appeared before her, filled with black sand that glowed with gold fire. She spoke the words that came unbidden to her tongue, ancient, rhythmic, the language of beginnings. The serpent screamed, the cavern filled with light, and above, the flames in the forest died instantly, replaced by a blinding white glow that made even King Obioma fall to his knees. When the light faded, the forest stood silent. The serpent was gone. The roots no longer whispered. Queen Nena was free, her body lifeless, but her face at peace. Ifunanya knelt beside her, holding the clay bowl, now empty, cracked, and cold. From above, she heard her brother calling her name. But when he reached the clearing, he found only her footprints, leading deeper into the forest, then fading away. The guardian's voice echoed softly through the trees. "The debt is paid, but light and shadow never die. They only change their names." When dawn breaks over Uru, King Obioma believes the curse has ended. But far away, in the reflection of the river, a woman's face, with eyes like gold and black, watches him silently. And the serpent's whisper returns on the wind. The circle is not broken. It only begins again. Perfect. We now enter the fourth movement of the legend, the quiet after the storm, where peace grows like grass over graves, and the dead begin to whisper again. This is the part griots call the long echo, when the living believe the curse is gone, but the circle has only changed its shape. Sit close. The drums are slow tonight. The fire leans in to listen. 20 years had passed since the burning of Ikuru Forest. The people of Uru said the curse had ended, that the gods, appeased by the sacrifice of the princess, had finally blessed the land again. Rain fell in season, the soil was rich, and the rivers no longer ran red. King Obioma the Just, older now, wore his father's crown and his sister's memory like two weights on his heart. He had rebuilt the temples, reopened the borders, and led his people into a golden age. But peace, as the griots say, is a drum that hides the sound of distant thunder. The queen had borne him one child, a girl named Amara, whose laughter could melt the hardest stone. She had her mother's grace, but her eyes were strange. One was the color of warm amber, like her father's. The other, black as night, deep and bottomless. At her birth, the palace midwives had exchanged uneasy glances, but no one dared speak. When Amara was a child, she loved to sit by the river and hum to herself. The water always rippled toward her, as if listening. By her 10th year, she began to dream of trees whispering her name, of a woman with a cracked bowl, and of a serpent coiled around the sun. One night, as the moon waned thin as a blade, Amara awoke to the sound of footsteps in her chamber. She thought it was her nurse, but when she opened her eyes, she saw a woman standing by her bed. Tall, cloaked in mist, her eyes glowing faint gold. "Do not be afraid," the woman whispered. "I am your blood." "Who are you?" Amara asked. "A name forgotten, a debt repaid, but you must not let the serpent sleep." And when Amara blinked, the woman was gone. Only a faint trail of black sand remained on the floor. The next morning, Amara went to her father. "Father," she said softly, "who was my aunt Ifunanya?" The king froze. He had not heard that name spoken in years. "She was my sister, the bravest soul I ever knew." "Why do you ask?" "She came to me last night." Obioma's face turned pale. "Child, that is not possible." But in his heart, something old and heavy stirred, the echo of a serpent's hiss. As Amara grew, her curiosity grew sharper. She began to study the old scrolls hidden deep in the temple vaults, the writings her ancestors had forbidden. There she found fragments of a story. When the Serpent of Dawn sleeps, the world forgets its balance. One child must carry the shadow, another the flame. She asked the temple keeper what it meant. The old man, half blind and trembling, whispered, "That is the tale of the two who were one. Your blood remembers it, even if your people do not." When she told her father, he ordered the scrolls burned. "No more talk of serpents or curses," he said sternly. "The past is buried." But that night, he dreamed of Ifunanya, standing in the forest, her eyes glowing with both sun and shadow. She whispered, "You cannot bury a circle, brother. It only turns beneath you." Months later, strange things began to happen across the kingdom. Cattle were found turned to stone. Wells ran black for a single night and then cleared by morning. Children spoke in their sleep with voices not their own, muttering the same phrase, "The roots remember." And then, one night during the harvest moon, the river that ran beside Uru rose higher than it ever had. Its waters glowed faintly blue, and from its depths came a sound like distant singing. Amara, drawn as if by instinct, walked barefoot to the river's edge. The air was cold, the water whispering her name. When she leaned over the surface, she saw not her reflection, but Ifunanya's face, weeping. "The circle is turning again," said the voice beneath the water. "You carry both the light and the debt. The serpent waits." Suddenly, the water surged upward, wrapping around her wrists like a living thing, and a scale appeared upon her skin, black and gold, glowing faintly in the moonlight. By dawn, the river had receded, but the palace was in chaos. The king's guards whispered that the princess bore the serpent's mark. Some demanded she be hidden away, others that she be offered to the forest as a sacrifice. King Obioma stood before his people, torn between love and fear. "She is my daughter," he said. "No harm will come to her." But that night, lightning struck the royal shrine, the one built over the ashes of their ancestors, and shattered it. Inside the rubble, the priests found a cracked clay bowl, still filled with black sand. The same bowl from the old legend, the same one Ifunanya had once carried into the roots. Obioma fell to his knees. He understood at last what the serpent had meant. The circle is not broken. it only begins again. Now Amara must uncover the full truth of her blood before the serpent fully awakens once more. The guardian still watches from the forest's edge. The sun dims each day, and in the far north, the river begins to boil, as if something ancient is rising again beneath its depths. The kingdom of Uru no longer slept easily. The moon hung lower each night. The rivers glowed faintly blue, whispering names no one dared repeat. And in the royal chambers, Princess Amara dreamed of the same thing again and again. A sun that bled and a serpent coiled around it, waiting to devour the light. When she awoke, the mark on her wrist glowed softly beneath her skin, like an ember trying to breathe. One night, she entered her father's chamber and found him awake, staring at the cracked clay bowl on his table. He looked older than she had ever seen him, his crown heavy, his eyes hollow. "Father," she said, "you still keep it?" "How could I not?" Obioma replied, his voice hoarse. "This bowl is my curse. Every time I think I have escaped my blood, it returns." "Then let me end it," she said quietly. "You speak as your aunt once did," he murmured, and she never returned. He reached for her hand, but when his fingers brushed the mark on her wrist, it burned his skin. He flinched. Amara's eyes filled with tears. "It has already begun, hasn't it?" The king turned away. "The serpent is waking, and when it rises, Uru will fall." That night, thunder shook the earth. Amara was drawn once more to the river, its waters churning, though no wind blew. The voice that spoke from beneath was no longer soft. It was ancient, deep, commanding. "Child of the circle, the fire of the sun burns in your veins, and the serpent coils in your shadow. Come, the balance waits." A figure stepped out of the mist on the opposite bank, tall, glowing faintly with gold light. It was Ifunanya, but she was changed. Her eyes were two suns, one bright, one dark. Her body shimmered like water. "You live," whispered Amara. "No," Ifunanya replied. "I exist between what was and what will be. I am what your father feared, the bridge between light and shadow." "Then help me stop this." "You cannot stop what you are meant to complete." Ifunanya raised her hand. The river parted, revealing a glowing path of stone that led deep underground. "Follow, and you will know the truth. Refuse, and the world will drown in its own fear." Amara stepped forward. The water closed behind her. The path led her into a vast underground chamber, larger than any temple, its ceiling alive with glowing roots. In its center coiled the serpent of the first dawn, now awake, immense, endless, beautiful, and terrible. Its scales reflected the stars. Its voice filled every corner of the earth. "You carry both halves, the sun's flame and the serpent's breath. The world cannot hold both. Choose." Ifunanya appeared beside her, her form flickering like smoke. "I once chose the sun," she said. "I gave my life to protect it, but by saving the light, I kept the shadow alive." The serpent's eyes glowed brighter. "Light and shadow are not enemies. They are halves of one whole. But mortals divide them, and so they suffer. You, child, must unite them, or all will end." Amara felt the mark on her wrist spread, black and gold veins crawling up her arm, her chest, her neck. Her heart burned and froze all at once. "If I do this, what happens to me?" Ifunanya looked at her sadly. "You will become the dawn itself, neither day nor night. You will no longer belong to this world." Amara's breath trembled. "Then let it be." She stepped into the circle of the serpent's coils. The creature lowered its head, and its tongue flickered against her brow. Flames erupted, gold and black, spiraling upward like twin rivers of fire. Above ground, the sky split open. The people of Uru saw the sun and the moon appear together, burning side by side. The rivers glowed white, and every shadow vanished, then returned brighter than before. When the light faded, the serpent was gone. Ifunanya was gone. And in their place, standing in the heart of the forest, was Amara, her eyes glowing like sunrise and midnight together. When King Obioma reached the forest with his guards, he found his daughter there, unharmed, serene. The air was calm. The trees stood taller than before. The river hummed like a lullaby. "Father," she said, "the serpent sleeps again, but not as before. Its breath is in every living thing now. There is no curse, only balance." He fell to his knees. "My child, what have you become?" She smiled softly. "I am what our blood was meant to be." The circle unbroken. And then, as the first light of dawn touched her face, she dissolved into mist, rising toward the sun, leaving behind only a faint trail of black and gold sand. The people of Uru tell it this way, that on that day, the sun and the serpent made peace, and the world was reborn in harmony. The rivers ran clear, the rains came gentle, and no war troubled the land for generations. But sometimes, at sunset, when the light bends between day and night, a faint voice can be heard in the wind, half whisper, half song. Greater than the circle turns, but never breaks. In every shadow, the sun awakes. And somewhere beyond the horizon, two eyes, one gold, one black, watch the world, smiling. Thus ends the tale of the Serpent and the Sun, a story of kingdoms and curses, of love and sacrifice, of bloodlines bound by light and shadow. The griots say, no story truly ends. It simply changes its storyteller. And so, when the fire burns low, another voice will rise, and the circle will begin again.